What's going on, guys? We are talking Mayans MC. Season 5, Episode 2, and this is going to be a non-spoiler, so just a review, but my spoiler reviews should be coming out pretty soon after this recording. Before we get started, I want to say please subscribe to the channel, hit the subscribe button, like the video, and hit the bell icon so you can get all my content right away. But let's get right into it, man. So I reviewed episode 1. This was a two-parter for the season premiere. Usually they tend to do that. So I just finished, literally just finished watching episode 2. And I have to say, I actually quite enjoyed it. I enjoyed this episode quite a bit. I enjoyed the first episode. Of course, there's problems in that episode. And once again, there's problems in this episode. But I'm kind of liking the flow of things so far. And I'm liking a lot of things they're kind of presenting and dealing with. I think the dialogue is still kind of trash. And I think that there is some scenes that, in this particular episode, like episode 2, there was a couple takes I would have retook if I was the director. Especially one particular scene, without spoiling anything, involves Easy hitting a certain guy in the face, and the way he delivers this line, I don't know if it was if he dubbed it over later on in post, but it wasn't very good. I would have took another take for sure on that. And then there's also a scene that involves, because we get Marcus Alvarez in this episode. We don't get him a lot, but we get him in here, and that's my favorite. Marcus is my favorite. But there is one particular scene when we first get reintroduced to him in the season, or in the series, or pretty much the show. In the season, we get the first appearance of him in the season. First scene, made just absolutely useless. Cut that, remove that. There is a lot of editing I would have done for this episode that would have made it a little bit more tighter and a little bit more cleaner. That is one particular scene that just absolutely needed to leave the episode. And then you could have started off with a particular scene he's in that involves another character that makes more sense than having him they just put him on there just to put him on there. That scene did nothing. I'll talk about it more in spoilers, but I was not a fan of that scene whatsoever. I think also how they're kind of dealing with a lot of the players so far. I mean, I think Galindo is going to be definitely a big part of this season. I actually really like Galindo in this episode. I actually like him a lot throughout the whole series that we've had so far. There is some trips on the character, which I think could have been his character could have been definitely better. But for what I've gotten out of Galindo so far in the series, and then in this episode in particular, I really, really did enjoy. He does something in this episode that really makes me sympathize with him a lot. And with Soledad as El Paquero's little sister, and him working with her, we do get her. She seems to be a very prominent role in this series. And I think the actress does reasonably well. I think she's pretty good. And I think a lot of the acting in this series has been okay so far. I don't think anything's really a standout other than, of course, Isaac. I think Isaac is a little bit more of a standout than a lot of these guys because he is kind of the big baddie. He is the villain. He's the guy that we're kind of seeing. He's a little bit loose nut, And there is a particular scene in this episode than in the first episode. I enjoyed Isaac more in this episode than I did in the first episode. And I think Isaac has great potential. I don't think the acting is stellar. I think because of the writing and the dialogue, it doesn't bring up the level that it needs to be. But I think for what this actor's doing, and I think what this character is doing so far, I am actually really liking. I think there is a threat there. I've seen what I've seen so far has been pretty good. So I think Isaac is definitely a shining spot, especially in this episode. Every time I watch this series, even though I talk a lot of crap about a lot of the writing and some of the things that are put together, the constant characters coming in and then being wasted, there is one thing I will always say about the series is, and it's coming to season 5, it still resonates, and that's the look of the show. The look is very, very great. I love the look. I love the atmosphere that Mayans does give out. I think this is definitely, I mean, if you go back, and we're going to compare it to Sons of Anarchy. If you go back to Sons of Anarchy really does feel like an FX type old school show. But then when you have this modern era and you have FX today, it really feels like, your Snowfalls, your Fargos. It feels like, I think the atmosphere, the cinematography has been top notch with Mayans so far. And of course, the special effects are hit and miss. But so far, what I've seen so far in season 5 is the cinematography and the look of the show still looks really, really clean and looks really, really nice. Creeper, man. Creeper, we find out in this episode his fate. I think that there's still Mayans in the club that are not getting enough shine. It's a little bit too late. We're at the end of the road. You can't develop, or you can't really give these guys anything else but to kind of finish up the whole storylines of your main players, because they had their chance. The writers had their chance. The Elgin James had his chance to really kind of bring out a lot of the secondary characters, but we haven't really got that. The other shining spot, though, that I still really, really like, and I'm surprised that he's lasted this long, but I think it's a great move to have him at least for the last season, and that's Bishop. I think Bishop is still probably one of my favorites. He speaks his mind. I don't think he was necessarily the greatest leader in the world, and I think the one thing that I'm kind of missing in this season is that Bishop is not a mentor to Easy. He should be mentoring Easy. He should be helping him to save this club, but it just doesn't seem to be that way. It seems like he's in it for himself, or not only that, he is jealous of Easy and what he's doing, but rightfully so, because we see in this episode, I think Easy really reminded me of the High Revolutionary. If you ever seen Guardians of the Galaxy 3, that's just out in theaters, Easy is starting to become the High Revolutionary because of his thought process, right? I mean, the High Evolutionary or Revolutionary, whatever his name is, he wanted to make everything perfect. He wanted everything his way, and Easy is trying to do that in this series, which is kind of crazy how much similarities they are to that villain to Easy. Yet he becomes unhinged when things don't go his way, or things are just not computing in his mind. And we see Easy really unhinged in this episode. We see him lose control. And I think at the end of this episode, it doesn't make me even more confident in his abilities. He really does seem like he's really sending this whole crew to hell. And Angel, this is the good thing about this season, is that we're going to see really the big dynamic of what this series is all about. And that's the relationship with Angel and Easy, the two brothers, family, all that. And we see that Angel is really, really, really unsure of what Easy is trying to do. He's really going to have to really step up and maybe not take Easy out, but he's really going to have to be the one that gives him, I don't know, he's gonna have to do something about Easy. It's a drama, it's a conflict, it's two brothers who love each other deep down, but there's things that are happening in this club that affects not only what Angel wants to accomplish, by being there for his son, but also what Easy is trying to. He doesn't have that. He only has Sophia. He doesn't have any kids, so he doesn't understand what he's losing. Honestly, what he sees is what he's trying to maintain and gain. So I think Angel, rightfully so, is looking at Easy. The way he's looking at him is it's right. I mean, he's right to think that Easy is taking it too far. There's a ghost that haunts Angel towards the end of this episode that I think was at first I was confused because I thought it was a dream, and then it wasn't. It was reality, and that is a heavy player coming into this season. Now I don't know how many episodes there is. My main concern is that there's going to be once again too much fluff, or not necessarily fluff, but too much storylines that they should not be even trying to bring into the table. I know it's the new season and this is the final season, but you do have all these other storylines, which I think they're doing a good job so far with a lot of the cartel, the pipeline, The easy has his back to the wall. There is things that are happening because it makes sense in if you're in this world that once so the Mayans are not in power anymore. So what happens to that power? Who is the one who's controlling that power? And who are the guys? Who are the main players now? There's always going to be somebody new coming in from the old. And then we see that with Marcus, with Easy coming in, and he was the old. So the whole conflict with Angel and tying in with maybe some Ghost of Christmas Past here, I think that makes a lot of sense. I think Isaac is doing his thing. You have a lot of things that are happening, and that could be actually really potentially be a really great finale with a lot of these storylines that are actually connected to the whole big plot. And I think that is what I'm excited for, is if they could nail the landing. All I need them to do is nail the landing and not get too big for the bridges, right? The only thing that I'm not digging is the storyline with the cop who was in love with Creeper. If you would have introduced this character from the get-go, or at least season 3 onward, season 2, I think you would get more of the dynamic of why this is such a struggle for her and for Creeper. But that's just not the case. It just kind of really happened last season. It was so rushed that you don't get it's the same story. They're using the same beats, the same storyline that you see in movies and TV about this particular relationship, about the odds that, I mean, hell, you could even say Fast and Furious is the same damn thing. But it's not working for me. It's not working unless a certain plot element that they introduced in this episode really pays off. But I really kind of doubt it. The other thing, too, is Emily, man. Emily makes an appearance in this episode. And the whole time, and it's not just because I hate her character, but it also would have made absolute sense to kill her off. What was it, last season or 2 seasons ago? Last season, I believe. Just kill her off. Like, what is she doing here? It's the same thing with Letty and Hope storyline. There's really no grand payoff between that storyline. There seem like characters that are just kind of there. And the only reason, like, I could think that Hope's character or her arc, her character, what they're going to try to do with her is the relationship she has with Isaac. But I really don't see them capitalizing on that prior relationship that they had, and that even coming into the storyline. Same with the cop. I mean, it does help the storyline with the cop that Creeper likes, the narc. Yeah, it's still kind of dull, kind of boring. You still have to kind of pace yourself with that and see if it pays off. But I'm really not feeling that element to it. These new kind of gang, I don't know if it's kind of if I like it or if I don't. With the new kind of gang being introduced, with the whole new power going introduced. But overall, this episode was good. I really did enjoy myself. I didn't think it was really badly paced. I think this was actually maybe a better paced episode than the last episode. I think that the dialogue is still not very good. I think the actors are doing the best they can. I think there's some emotional resonance with the Hank character. You're still seeing a lot of, because there's so many characters, you're just seeing sprinkles of what this character is doing on their off time or what they're doing with the club. You don't even see really Gilly. You just see him there at the table. So there's characters being still left on the wayside, yet there's characters getting a lot of some storylines and some shine, which he doesn't need it. Their arc, their storyline should have been over. I would even say Sophia is not really doing anything in particular but being an emotional support for Easy, but yet there is no particular interesting things happening with those two. So that's my overall thoughts on season 5 episode 2 of Mayans MC. I did in fact enjoy it, though. I enjoyed it. I don't think this is a banger, though, by all means necessary. I think it's still kind of setting up for maybe some bigger things to come, but I am enjoying the setup process. I am enjoying a lot of the little kind of storylines that may come into one and really kind of pop off like a firework. So we'll see. thank you guys for listening. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Would really appreciate it. Like the video, comment below. Let me know what your guys' thoughts on the first 2 episodes and overall. What is your? Are you still excited? Or do you think there is a lot to? Do you think that it's gonna? Do you see it becoming a great grand series finale? And what is your thoughts on Easy and what he's doing right now with the club? Because he ain't doing very good. So thank you guys. I'm Dan Megan Nelson. I'm out.